Welcome back to the channel, guys. I wonder if anyone likes this task actually as I'm sitting here looking at it, because I know quite a few of my homesteading friends that seem to get themselves in the same situation I'm in, and that is we're rendering lard. I don't know why, it's something that I put off. I was super excited when I got the leaf lard, did that right away after I got my pigs back from the processor. This is all the back fat. I think that's what they call it, back fat. And unfortunately what that means is there's like skin still on it, so you gotta cut away the skin, cut it all up. And I've got 4 bags to go through. But I'm gonna share with you guys, this will be my first time. I do have a video back from way back when. If you want to catch how I did the leaf lard and how that turned out, I'm very interested to see how this back fat's going to turn out. And we are down to our very last jar of leaf lard. So just in time, though, this weekend, our 2 Idaho pasture pigs that we've been raising is going to the butcher. So just in time for that. And I will share with you through this process if I learn any tips of the trade. And first tip, you can't cut through pig skin very well as you're rendering this down or chopping this down. So I do oven rendering. If that's something that you've never done, I know a pretty standard way is on the stove pot or in your crock pot. I really like the oven method. So I'm going to be sharing that with you, and it takes a while, so might not see you back till tomorrow, but come down here and I'll show you what kind of this back fat looks like that we're working with. So here we got a nice beautiful piece of fat. There is some skin on it though. Whoops, not in the picture. So skin, fat. I need to cut that skin off, and then what I do is anytime I see little bits of meat or red bits in there, I do cut that out because that will definitely add to any porky flavor, or if you're working with beef fat and you're rendering it down for tallow, similar. So I do cut any of those little pieces out. Maybe not everyone does, but it certainly helped with my leaf lard, not an ounce of smell. So that was great. So I'm just cutting it down into little, probably 1.5 inch chunks. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Yeah. And then I'm just kind of like a cantaloupe, I guess, or like a watermelon, then slicing it off the skin. And this is why I don't, I know, as I'm just sitting here going through piece number 1, this is why I don't like this process. It takes a while. It's not something I'm super fast at. Oh, another people often, you would still have to go through the process of getting the skin off, but I know a lot of other people will use their meat grinders to grind this up in smaller pieces. It just, your oven or your rendering process will likely go a little bit faster if you do that, because you'll have less surface area to work with. We have done that, I believe, before. But it's just a big, heavy piece of equipment to pull out, and depending on whether or not this all fits well enough and I can manage it in the oven, I'll probably just keep it at chunks. So I'm going to get through this. I may not get through it all today, depending on how much my vessels can manage to hold in the oven. But we'll get through what we can, and I will gladly share any tips along the way. Okay, I'm now getting to a section, I just thought I'd show it to you, that is just a bunch of fat scraps, it looks like, from the butchering process. So I will cut out pieces like that, cut around them, dispose of them, and Actually, I'll probably feed it to the chickens. They really like it. And that's kind of what you're dealing with. And you just cut around any red, meaty looking pieces. Anything that might look like it contains any blood. Because you really want to use the purest of fats to make your lard. So a lot of this is really good though. This is actually, too, you could use this fat would be great for making sausage with. So a lot of times we'll just save this fat too. I'll ask Todd what he wants to do with it. He might actually want to save this for sausage making. Okay, I found my rhythm. When you only do this job, you know, once every 2 years, you forget your technique. So very similar, like I said at the beginning, cutting it like a cantaloupe. Can you guys see? So I've cut slices down, and then I just tip it and slice it off the skin. And that works really well. Alrighty, I have this pan just about full, and I think that that's enough to get started with while I only have like 2 bags left. So I got through good 2 bags. I can always add to it as it's rendering down. So I'm going to turn the oven on to 325. No, cancel that. I'm going to turn the oven on to 225. And before I put this pan in, I just have like a half a cup of water that I'm going to pour in, because the main thing that you don't want to happen that can give your lard some of that porky flavor is burning it, cooking it too fast and start actually cooking your fat. You just want to melt it. So use low heat. Actually need a little bit more water. I want just enough to just cover the bottom. And this water will evaporate away as this lard cooks. Alrighty, into the oven this one goes to get started, and this will probably take, about 4 to 5 hours maybe longer. If it's not done before I go to bed tonight, I'll probably just turn the oven off and turn it back on in the morning. I got help. My hand was about to lose a finger in the process, not from cutting it off, but from immediate carpal tunnel.
The knife digging into you?
Mm-hmm. Todd has his own process. I'm like, he went to cut through the skin. I'm like, you can't cut through that. And he went, crunk, cut right through it. I'm like, well, I guess you can. I can't.
It helps if you keep your knife dry, by the way.
What do you mean dry?
I don't know, you had like...
Grease?
When you were doing it, you had both hands covered in grease.
Yes.
Keep one hand clean and one hand dirty, and then you can put a lot more leverage on your knife.
Smarty pants. Yes, sir. He got his freezer bag out for all the good fat bits that don't have skin on it for his sausage making.
Yep. Oh, and check this out.
Oh.
This is my new hat my son got me for my birthday.
That's great, isn't it?
Isn't it cool? What else has been happening? Earlier, while Rachel was working on her project here, I heard something outside, and it was our tractor. Our tractor's back from the shop.
Oh, good.
So that's good news. It was kind of, I came in and I told Rachel, I'm like, yeah, you can tell we live in a small town. The guy like dropped it off, handed me a piece of paper and started walking away. I'm like, how am I supposed to pay you? He was like, just put a check in the mail. That's fine. Okay. It's that small town rural life, where
trust still exists.
Yeah, trust still exists.
Figure they got your number. They know where you live.
Yeah. Like you said, the tractor was basically fine. They didn't really. It did the 50-hour service on it and checked it over, and they didn't see anything wrong with it. So
That's good. We haven't needed it. It's been such a dry winter. I think you got it out to, or got not even that to plow snow once, but the snowmobile once.
oh, the 4-wheeler, yeah.
Yeah.
Just once. The only one time we've had to plow all year.
Somebody commented on one of our recent videos. I was out in the garden and they're like, "Where's the snow? Don't you live in Michigan?" I'm like, "Yeah, we haven't had snow, like good snow, in a long time." We've had plenty of winters where we've had that polar vortex cold, but not good snow.
Yeah. I think like our first winter here was the worst one for snow.
Yeah. So far, the pigs, though, the Idaho pasture pigs, in one of the recent videos, we shared with you how we were training them to load themselves on the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 4 days in a row now, and that was just, last weekend we set that up?
Yeah.
2 weekends ago, so 2 full weekends ago. So it's been 1 full week that they've been training to it, and probably maybe it took 3 days. So the last four days easily they've been climbing all the way up in it to eat. So that's good. Shouldn't have a problem. There was one day we had like a really icy fog, so the mat was slippery, and they didn't want to climb up on that. But we don't have any ice or snow in the future forecast, so that should be good.
Until next Sunday night.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
They'll be gone. So do you think we kind of said after going through this process the last time, like, I don't think we should get the fat again next time. It's just so much work. But honestly, with everything going on in the world right now, and I think I am. I'm gonna go ahead and still get my leaf fat separated, so when you take a pig to a processor, if you're not doing it yourself, you can ask for the fat and ask them to separate the leaf fat from the back fat, and they'll do that for you. Alright, so I'll probably be back in about 30 minutes and show you guys with that first pan that I put in there, what I do to just help the process along and let it render down good.
This is going to take until like probably tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we'll see where it's at tonight before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. Hey, what is that? No meat. Don't put meat in your fat. So it's been about an hour since I put the first one in. So I'm just gonna pull it out and show you guys what I do. So this is the first one, this here. And I'm going to just mash it with my potato masher. Pull it out a little bit so you guys can see. And kind of just help open up, in my mind. I'm making this up, but it works well for me. In my mind, it's kind of just opening the pores of the fat to help it render out some more. And I'll do this once an hour till it's done. And when you know it's done is when the cracklings are floating in the fat. And you don't want those cracklings to cook too much. So they kind of sink to the bottom at first and then they float up to the top. Whoops, uh-oh, dog's got a piece of fat. So that's good. Okay, so I think the first pot is good enough.
Close that door.
Yep. And I brought...
Let's see how it's all floating.
Yeah. I got Todd in here to kind of help me manage the process. Not necessarily that I need it, but I'm going to go to bed and he's gonna do the last batch. So I want him to see mainly how I want him to do it.
Okay.
So I'm just, and it's to teach you guys too what I do. So I'm kind of just scooping out some of the fatty bits, which you could totally keep and fry up for cracklings. We do not consume that here, but my sister does. So I will be letting her know I've got a bunch of crackling bits ready for her. You don't have to worry about like all the little tiny pieces. You're gonna catch that in your cheesecloth as you strain it. And basically what I have here, you could probably get away with using a coffee filter maybe, but I just always keep cheesecloth on hand, and I've got a double layer of cheesecloth there. So as I'm going through this, I really think I could have let this batch go probably another couple hours. So let me show you an example. This piece here, that is really well rendered down. It's pretty translucent. There's no white fat to it compared to, ooh, that's hot. Compared to this one, right? So there's still quite a bit of good fat on that hasn't quite rendered out yet. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the fridge, or probably just out on the porch tonight. It's cold outside. And I will run this a little bit more. I'll probably sift through it, get the pieces out that are done, and just put back through some of the pieces that could go a little bit longer. And I guess, Todd, when you do your batch, you don't have to sift through it for me, just set it out on the porch and I'll do the same thing. So just real quick disclaimer, I'm thinking how I'm gonna end this video. I'm showing you guys this process tonight, even though I'm gonna do more. Whatever I end the clip with, which will be our rollout, will be the final product, just so you know how much I got. But I doubt I'll talk about it on video. But I just wanted to show you guys the process number one of just rendering back fat, and then what you could expect it to look like. And I have, like I said, I have 1 jar of leaf lard left that I'll be able to compare any color difference to. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do not use my good mason jars for this. I always keep all my store-bought jars. This was a jar of Safi's beets, and it's not necessarily recommended, and that is okay. So use your judgment. If you want to use your mason jars, you totally can, but I am not. For storing lard, as long as you have a lid that has a decent capability of sealing, you don't have to pressure can it or anything. I'm sealing this boiling hot. It will self-seal itself tonight while it cools down. So I'm excited to show you guys what that will look like when it's all said and done. So I have several of those. I wouldn't use anything like, look how clean this lid is. I mean, there's still a lot of the, I don't know what you would call that, the rubber texture left, and it will seal again. So what was I gonna say? I don't remember. I would expect I'm probably gonna get 2 quarts and 4 pints is what I'm guessing I'm gonna get out of all of it. And I would actually prefer to, the way we consume lard, it's not a lot. I would prefer to can it all in pints if I had enough jars, because once you open it, it's going to kind of start your countdown on shelf stability. But I have had lard unopened on the shelves for more than 2 years, and typically what you read is it only has like a 6-month shelf stable life. So I think it just depends how well your jars seal and how well you're able to get out all of the water content out of your lard. Good morning, everybody. It's the next morning, and I wanted to show you what I ended up with. So I ended up with 3 quarts. We'll call them quarts, right? It's a beet jar, 2 pickle jars, And I just wanted to show these, I don't know if you guys can see it. They actually did seal. All of them but one. And I actually think this one didn't seal because it's the wrong lid for the jar. So I can still push the lid on. All the rest sealed really well. This one didn't, of course, because it's just got a tiny bit. But, so, and then 3 what you would call pints of lard. But I really wanted to show you real quick the difference, for me anyway. And I guess I'm wondering if it's normal. Difference, I know the normalness in color is normal, but texture too, of 2 different styles of lard. So this is that's a dirty jar, let me, not dirty, but you know, has markings on it. Okay, how about that one? This is what I just did, the back fat. This is leaf lard. Can you see that slight color difference? A little dingy white versus white. So now let me show you the difference, what I believe is a decent difference in texture. So, brought out 2 spoons. So this is leaf lard, scoops just like shortening, just like Crisco. Nice, thick, fluffy. And now let me show you a scoop of, we'll scoop from this one, a scoop of the back fat. It's a little softer, a little runnier. I mean, it doesn't run, it still holds to the spoon, but it's a lot softer texture and not as fluffy. So what do I use the difference for? My leaf lard is used primarily for baking purposes. Pie crust, biscuits, things like that. Whatever, you know, cookies, whatever a recipe would call for shortening. All of this is just for general sauteing, frying, flavoring green beans. If it's like a really strong smelling pork, I didn't even smell it, let me tell you. Barely, but it does have a smell compared to your leaf lard. So what I'm gonna do now is all of these that sealed really well, put them down on my pantry shelves. The one that didn't seal will go in the fridge and they'll be used up first. Thanks guys for coming along on rendering this last of this lard. I'm anxiously awaiting how much we're gonna get from those Idaho pasture pigs. I'm sure it's gonna be a lot. So I'll talk to you guys later.